agree that beauty begins within. So the future of beauty is wellness. And by redefining beauty in this way, we're going to explore how optimum health and wellness can reveal a more beautiful you. Through conversations with industry leaders and innovators, we're going to discover how you can live in harmony with your mind, body, and soul. And because I believe that happy, healthy people are more beautiful.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And this is The Beauty Show. So today I have a very special guest. Thank you for joining me, Aneta.
Thank you for having me.
I was going to give an intro and talk about the fact that for over a decade, Aneta has spent her time working with like-minded professionals, seeking emotional freedom and wanting to grow their potential. So, Aneta, can you share with us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, my story is quite interesting, to be honest. I think it started very early. In my early 20s, I started working on, I was dating someone and I thought that I'm the bad one. So I went and started seeking some help, and what I discovered, it wasn't me really. So sometimes, in relationship, it's good to, the relationship go and push you to do something with yourself. So you discover more. What I did, I discovered a new way of working with my own problems, and that was reaching back to my childhood. So past traumas, and I stayed with that method for many years, got trained. Always been interested in psychology, but then I had that belief that I cannot do it. So 5 years ago, I actually completed my MSCs in organizational psychology, and I did coach people since then, and I mix my approaches from different backgrounds. So I've done psychobiology, which is working with illnesses, but on a mental level. So like reading a body as a map. And then I do work with people and they stuckness. And that's one of the reason that I do believe, and I've seen in many clients and myself, that starts with value. So how do we value ourselves? Do we have that value? And it's a very simple exercise that I start with, that gives me the idea of how really in tune with ourselves we are.
Yeah. So I think it's amazing how many people are stuck, and it's at different phases in their lives, but we all sort of get to this phase in our lives where we feel a little bit stuck, and it doesn't matter how successful you may seem to other people, sometimes you could still feel really stuck. Yeah. So I know that you sort of refer to yourself as an authentic achiever, a career coach, a potentials expert, and founder of Pureception.
Yes.
Rainbow method. So can you tell us a little bit more about what the rainbow method is?
So the rainbow method, as you see, is behind me. That's very, not so old painting, but it's got a few years now. And I painted a while ago, and I didn't know why. And I always been told that that my painting were not good as a child because you didn't follow the lines. And so when I grew up, I did a lot of like expressive painting, and this is how I got into art. And this is what kind of hooked me working with colors. And what I started finding out is that the colors have a lot of healing modalities for our mental well-being, because they've been used for centuries by Native Americans, especially by certain tribes. And they've been helping the people. So they're not only helping our mental health, but they're helping our body, because this is all connected. So we've got a thing in our brain that is amygdala, that is responsible for our emotional intelligence. And colors, by wearing colorful glasses on, wearing certain colors, you can change that mood. So very stressful people should wear more light pink, for example. People with headaches could wear like blue color. And blue is really good for relaxation, but it talks about the expression, communication. There's thousands of books at the moment about the color therapy, and was used in 1920 in Philadelphia hospital, and they had amazing results. So they had like a projector, and they will put people in the room and they would just use certain colors, but that was on their body. So what I discovered is that, you know, if you wear a certain colorful glasses from 10 to 30 minutes a day, depends on the combination and the issue that you facing, then they will help you with your problem, emotional problem, just to calm it down.
That is so fascinating how that works. I mean, I know from an image perspective how color can influence you, and I know even just from a beauty perspective, throwing on some red lipstick just makes you feel so much brighter and more alive.
Yes.
And so colors can really impact you deeply.
Yes.
It's very interesting how that works. So tell me more about, so today our topic is about why women don't value themselves. And so we touched a little bit on the fact that it can happen to us at any stage where we feel stuck and don't see our value. So when you first meet a client, how do you determine how to treat them in relation to this lack of value that they see in themselves?
For me, it's the working with the body. So I ask for if if people experience any illnesses at the moment, or there are several illnesses that they've been experienced for many years. So that's one of the information. Then I know where to look at. And with the value, you know, it's like you can, there are many tools, like coaching tools, where you check people, like you can use the scale from 1 to 10. Where do you think how valuable you are? And if someone tells you number 5, it's like, okay, so in the middle, so what happened? And so to push them up, like see them that, okay, so you see yourself as a number 5. So what happened in your life that got you to number 5? So tell me about number 4, for example. So that's very simple tool that we can use in coaching, but as well, one of them is if you can tell me 20 things, positive things about yourself, like in one go, like, you know, I'm beautiful, I'm really good at this. So only positive stuff, then I know that that person on which level of the value they are in their mind. So because they don't have problem to express it, and then you work with a deeper process. But this is something that you have to do then with one-to-one or group work. But
Right.
I think that the importance with the measuring your value is how do you like really sit with yourself and see how do you feel about, you know, how, not about how you look, but how do you feel in relation to other people, you know, and how other people impacting your life as well. That's very important, because, you know, if we lost our value, then there's a lot of impact coming from outside and not from inside. So I'm really interested in people in the inside. So because we all are beauty inside, but we focus outside. And you're in the beauty industry, so you've been working for, you know, in many countries, and you travel all over the world. So I know that you will understand the ways of beauty from in and out.
Yes, exactly. And for me, understanding that beauty comes from within is also a mindset thing. So as much as it's health, it's also your mindset, so the way that you think about yourself. And so people who really struggle to think about those 10 things that they are really good at are people that you would probably think suffer more from this lack of seeing their own value. And so what sort of exercises could somebody do to try to help them increase this level of value that they believe in themselves?
I mean, we start with there's a lot of mindfulness. This is the one thing that I would say to people: you need to reprogram your brain. That's the one thing. So you practice. This is habit, like going to a gym. You know, you practice that muscle. Understand that when you reprogram your brain to a positive way of thinking about yourself, then we can go deeper. Then I do a different work, and this is something that, you know, sometimes in early childhood we lost the value because of some events.
Yeah, sorry to cut you. I was just about to say, does it go really far back, like to childhood, where, you know, we all hear that in those 5 to 7 years of early development, a lot of our personality is sort of formed. And so then this lack of confidence or lack of self worth could stem back to that time frame, you know, between 0 to 7 years old. And
It
so
goes even farther, to be honest, because we need to look at our life. This is where the exercise about timeline or time machine comes in place, where we need to look at our life a little bit farther. So what do? You here and now, and then you go back. But you know, not many people want to go back. So I developed something that doesn't make them so afraid of going back, because they in their own safe space. So
right.
what are we looking at? We're just looking at that stuff, but we're not touching it. So it's my job is not to be, you know, dig in there, but is to acknowledge things. So sometimes the value starts with our moms,
Mm-hmm.
because you know, this is who this is the person who carry us for 9 months. So you know, there's not enough maybe science, but there's a still connection between the mother and the child. So you know, the 9 months are very important. And as well as in New German medicine, they discovered now that the 9 months before you the pregnancy are very crucial as well. So all the emotions are still there, and sometimes you can see even in your family system. So it goes really far back. So it's about your grandmother, great grandmother.
Issues also.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because
Interesting.
if the women in the family were not valued, so say, you know, none of them didn't feel valued, then, you know, goes back to a 4 or 5 generation and stays in your DNA as well, that, you know, that undervalue been coming for ages. So, you know, we come into this world really undervalued as women. And
Mm,
it's we program our mind, but with our mind you can program it to a certain point. But then when you go through a life and you get a trigger, then
right.
something shifts, because the emotions are still there. So we have to work with emotions as well,
Mm-hmm.
because we are humans, we are not robots. So, and that's the job that it can be quite challenging for people to understand, because the brain try to understand why is that. But what I do, I work with the emotion directly. So I just want to see where's this emotion coming from, and the undervalue that emotion of feeling really low about yourself. It has so many different levels and layers that, you know,
Yeah.
that we like an onion. You're just basically taking all the skin, and I want to find you within that onion where it's really you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that with many women, that you know, outside we can see very confident or beautiful, but inside, you know, we feel so undervalued, and yeah, and it's just not seen. So people cannot see that. So it's that mask that we created in our life
Yes.
just to be able to carry on. But
Yeah. Call it your
when
representative. It's the
yeah,
person you show people that you are, but it's not the real you.
yeah,
Um,
which is
I
sad.
I have a contact who we've had a discussion before, and they actually don't have any memories prior to, let's say, 13 or 14 years old, which is quite old to not have memories from childhood. And so,
Mm.
like that, what would your advice be uh, to understanding these blockages? You know, if they don't have any memories of where it could have started, how do you fix
I mean, I had a client like that. She couldn't remember at least 10 years of her life, and we did that exercise with 90 people in the room. And so I asked her questions, because we do have a memory, but the memory is blocked. The blockage is for a reason. This is where the stagnant come as well in mind. It's for a reason to for us to be able to protect us from something. So the brain already, as a children in that period, we decided that no, I don't want to remember that, and we carry on with life. So what I do is I ask about some events, like are there any weddings, you know, any funerals, like something that is not so dramatic, you know,
it?
that maybe there is a birth of a, you know, maybe there is a birth of a child in a family, or maybe someone had a sibling in that time. So I would be looking more for the more positive things,
Right.
the things that, you know, the brain can quite quickly okay recall. So, and in that way.
Mechanism that they've
And what
out.
So I can tell you what happened with that client. She couldn't remember 7 years. So then I asked her a few questions, and she said, "Oh, actually, I remember now. My sister got married." And I said, "So okay, so how was that for you?" "Oh, it was fine." And then I could see that she was sick. So there's always pattern. So I said, "What happened when you were 3 years old?" And she said, oh, my other sister got married. And I said, how was that for family? And she said, everyone was miserable. And
Mm,
she was, you see, she remembered that emotion. I said, oh, you were 3 years old and you remembered that everyone was miserable? And she
mm,
said, oh, and she clicked. And I said, so whose emotions are that, being miserable? And she said, oh, that's not mine. You see, she carried all that emotion from
right,
her parents and her sister and the whole system who was there, that miserable because she's getting married. So she carried that emotion through her life. So
right.
that was quite fascinating. So, it's like asking the right questions and know to where to go and ask those questions, which they don't scare you off the people. Because what I noticed with women, especially, they so afraid. So we
Mm-hmm.
want to build that safe space for them so they can really be vulnerable, because we had to be so strong to go throughout the life. So
Yeah.
you want to create that space for them to be vulnerable. And I think that's beautiful, that to really work with women and help them to build the value from inside. Because what I notice, we get really interested in the blinky stuff. We think that if I will have a wrinkles, if I will have something wrong with my face, or if I will put on weight, I'll be judged. But
Yes.
the thing starts with you judging yourself. But why are you self-sabotaging yourself? So that's another part of undervalue, is to work with your sabotages. So that part that doesn't let you be the person you want to be or you're supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly who you think people think you should be. It's
Yes.
especially if you're in an industry where it is physical, like in the beauty industry.
Yes.
You are judged, and I've done modeling and stuff in the past, and you are judged on what you physically look like. And so then it's really easy to get trapped into that, where you feel like your value is so closely connected with what you look like. And it's taken me a long time to decide that it's more important what's inside than outside. And actually, if I stay beautiful inside, as in healthy and happy, I will stay beautiful on the outside for longer. And so this
Yes,
is why
exactly.
it's important to have these conversations, so that people know we're more. I find that people are more smarter now. Consumers are more educated in the products that they're using and the things that they're doing. More people are getting into eating healthier and exercising. And it's so easy to forget that the mind is equally as important as the body and the soul. And you can do all the spiritual stuff and meditate, but it's the mind as well. So these conversations are really, really good.
Yeah, I found that I was always interested in the three aspects, like a mind, body, and soul. And what I noticed, there's always one, and that one, or some, there's a lack of one part or the other one. So
Right.
it took me many many years to connect all those dots together, because
Mm,
I think it's like everything in life. You cannot just drive your car with 3 wheels. Yeah, you need 4 wheels. So it's the same as when you work with yourself. You cannot just train your mind only. You need, like, we say like mindfulness, but yeah, mind, body, soul connection. This is there's a reason why there are three parts, because mind and body are really connected, and
mm,
then and the soul as well. So it's
yeah.
like three layers that we working with. So I found it fascinating that when you are in that alignment with all those three parts, then you really can move on with your life. And this is where the stuckness then is not stuckness anymore, because you work on all those three levels with that.
Mm-hmm. So a really good tip that you gave us in the beginning of this conversation is to write down some good things about yourself, so
Yeah.
that you see it in black and white. And so then how does not valuing yourself show up in somebody's life?
I mean, I can tell you from my own experience, it's like listening to other people and telling you what's best for you. And I pay high prices for that, because I was so naive, because
Right.
I wanted to be seen, I wanted to be accepted.
Yes, you want to be.
Now yeah, you just you want to belong. So
Yes.
you do everything, if people, and especially if you're vulnerable and you're not really within yourself the power. Yeah,
Mhm.
then the society, that it starts with school and colleagues, and everyone will come and talk. You have to be this, and then what happens in life is the decision making process starts being really challenging, because what you think is good, because someone is telling it's good for you, it's not. So you're not wasting. You're giving away your own power, and then you
Yeah.
have really bad experience. So majority people will do, they will withdraw
Oh,
and they really hide. They, that the experience is really, really negative. So I've been there so many times until I really did reconnected with that, my value. And when you're in that place of where your brain is not busy, where where you really sit, the chaos outside, it doesn't matter anyway, because when you within yourself, then you have that peace. And we
mm-hmm.
go through our life, every time you connect with yourself, your inner power, then the opportunities are coming to your way as well. So
Yeah.
there's so much to explore, but because we don't know that value, we are hooking up on like that, you're going blind and try to catch something. But when
Yeah.
you know your inner power and who you
Yeah.
are and how you should value yourself, yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
then the life becomes easier, and the decision-making process is based on what you feel is good for you. And is it making me happy? Doesn't making me happy, I don't want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think sometimes in a work environment, though, you get trapped because you'll start doing a job and you get stuck into needing that paycheck every month, and spent a few years in a certain career. So it's really difficult to pivot and do something else. But I think what COVID has really taught so much of us is that nothing is guaranteed. And so many people in this last 2 years have had to pivot and do other things. And it's almost pushed people into getting out of that comfort zone and having to experience this new part of themselves, to be brave and step out there and do this thing that they've always wanted to do, but just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
Whatever. Now you're at home, you can do your Zoom meetings, and then you've got this extra time. And a lot of people have found, I don't know what the word is, but like maybe solace in the fact that they can now pursue the dream, because the focus was so much on getting to work, being in that rat race,
Yeah.
that they need to be paid for their work, and there was this exchange. So part of that stuckness, I think, is people getting trapped into the idea that they have a regular paycheck, like some stability.
We as a humans, we all always need safety. This is something that we came in, and then we get that safety in wounds, and then so that's a normal process. And so it's that fear. There is a lot of fear everywhere, especially with making that step and changing. I think transition from one job to another job is really challenging. But
Yeah.
if you take that, it's very rewarding, because if you have that inner calling,
Yes.
then there's some work to do around that as well. But what happened like 2 years ago until now, the people who really took this time, not as a punishment, but as a chance to really sit down and reflect on, like, okay, I've been there for so many years, I don't want to do it. It's like my husband, for example. He's been chef for 30 years. He didn't work for 2 years, and now he had people asking him to come and cook, and he's like, no, I don't want to do it. I spent 30 years or working 70 hours a day, don't want to do this anymore. And his transition is not like, a click, because it still takes a lot of emotion to work on, and he's a little bit lost as well, which is normal. But just what is working on yourself and giving yourself that space sometimes to be lost, but understanding that, okay, inside I've got something, he's got something in his plan, in his mind, that he always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So
I really love that. So you need to give yourself permission,
yeah,
to be brave and just
yeah.
step. Mm.
Yeah, you just need to tell yourself, I deserve that. And this is where the value comes, I deserve to have a good life. Because, I could tell people and scream and shout. I said, everyone here deserves to have a good life. We didn't come here to suffer. The suffering is a choice. We live in polarity. We have good and we have bad. And throughout many years, I've been challenging my teachers and saying, why do you always focus on bad stuff? We didn't come here to suffer. We have a choice, like everything. You can, day and light, white and black. So, for me, the positive aspects as well in life, we got caught up in that negative stuff, but there's so much good to explore. So it's just giving yourself permission and saying, yes, I deserve that. Then you're changing a lot in your life already with that decision. I deserve a good life. I deserve to earn good money, to be with people like-minded, people who value me for who I am, you know, not for how I look. You know, I deserve to have this fruitful conversation. I deserve to be seen how I want to be seen, but starts with you, because if you see yourself beautiful, no matter whatever other people thinking, this is you're on the right track, because you already told yourself, I don't care, you know. It's like, this is other people's opinion. It's like we all having our own world, like bubbles, and we in those bubbles, and the perception of our world is only coming from us. So you can create your own world the way that you want to create it, and those people around you, they have their own perception and their own worlds, and you know, you can decide if you want to let them in or you can let them out. So we have so much power that is unexplored, and I think this is where the work is beautiful, because honestly, with the moment where you say yes to yourself, the things are changing in your life. You just you can fly in some ways.
And actually, this is not a specific woman issue. This is a man and a woman issue. I think men can also struggle valuing themselves, and there's also a lot of pressure on men to be the breadwinner, to be successful, especially like by a certain age, and to be this, you know, lion. And when they're not at a certain place or point in their lives at a certain time, then they can struggle a lot with, you know, not having confidence and valuing themselves. So
there's this interesting thing about that, because you know, how we you know, the old back generation, I like to always go into a history, because this is very important, and the history is going, you know, people forget. So the important stuff is like, what was the role of a woman? You know, women was carrying on with life and the responsibilities, where the man was going and had to go and fight. He had no choice, you know. So this is what something stays in our DNA from those both sides. You know, woman is the, you know, is the glue, is the strong part in the family, where the man is different, because men used to go and provide for the family. You know, the women was looking after the children, and men was you know, going and work and bringing the food and work, and that was the exchange. We can see this is changing, you know, but no one asked the women to go and fight in the war. So this is something that is coming from far back. It doesn't mean that it has to be, but you know, men then don't see their value, because they've been put in that position of like, okay, this is what you have to do. But you know, I've seen that changing. Like, you know, my husband's been full on with our 2 years old, and he's loving it, and so I have the space to do my stuff, and we swap. And I think that's that's healthy. You know, we have the power of building something new here, you know, and valuing men. And I believe that for men needs their circle as well. Like women creating, you know, they always were knitting and cooking, baking on whatever circles. We always had that. Now we have the clubs, so we go but there's no space for men. You know, the men don't have that. They don't used to get, because they didn't have that space. They have those responsibilities. And I believe this is where the gap is for men, that where they need to be more around other men, not to you know, to compete, but to really support each other.
I find the whole thing quite fascinating. Like, circumstances don't make a man, they reveal them. So if you have it in you to like want to improve and want to be better and want more for yourself, then you can do that. But it's just having that initial self-belief that it's possible.
We get entangled in so many things where from early childhood that is so hard, like so challenging for people to really reconnect and see it, because we still wobbly, you know, we don't know what ours, what not ours. So this is where the work comes in, where you can really look into something that, and then the exercises are really easy as well, because you're just saying, you know, thank you, I see you, you know, this is not me, this is yours, this is mine, thank you. And I've seen in people just saying one sentence, it released them. And this is the beauty of it. We don't need a complicated stuff in life. We've been told to go to a therapy for years and just, you know, it's like you're putting the words in the air, but nothing's happening, you know. Where with coaching, the good stuff is like, if you've got a good tool set, you can really move people from that problem to something really good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's really important to also just know yourself, right? And to appreciate yourself, so that when you're going through these things, you're kind to yourself, because a lot of us are not kind to ourselves. And that self-talk that we have in our heads that keeps those limiting beliefs right there, you know, ready to just tell us that we're not good enough, or that it's not possible, that we'll never get it, we'll never do it. So I think for me, it's less about like motivation, but more about what you said before, just your perception about the way that you see things, and then having that positivity to like feel the fear and do it anyway.
This is something that you said really important, the limiting beliefs. There's one thing about like in the mind, you know, they are in the mind. However, every limiting belief's got a feeling attached to it.
Yes.
You see? So we're still focusing on the brain, but still there's a feeling attached to it. So what we have to do when we think about limiting belief is to really in tune, what do I feel? What feeling is coming up for me in here and now that wants to show up? And then with that, when we catch that feeling, then we have the base, because, you know, you can reprogram your brain, but the feeling is still there.
Yes.
So
yeah.
you have to release that felt sense, you know. It's like psychodynamic work, you know. It's like people might not believe in things that they don't see, but that's brain only see things. So things that brain cannot see, it doesn't exist for it, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. And emotions, like, we do feel stuff, you know. You feel anger. Do you think you're angry? No, you actually experience that in your body. So where's that coming from? It's not fully just only from your brain. It comes from your body, you know, comes from your soul, you know. And but it's just for brain, it's really difficult to understand that there's something that we cannot see. And this is what blocks us from really progressing, because it's like, oh, I cannot see it, this doesn't exist, it's not true. I would question that, is it?
So I think also what's important in that situation is to know that when you're having this feeling and it's sort of manifesting itself, you need to interrupt it somehow. So I know with Mel Robbins, she talks about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule, where as you're either procrastinating or having this negative thought in your mind about, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, I'm too tired, I can't get up, to just do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and do it. And it interrupts this pattern that you can so easily get into with, you know, that perpetual negativity and whatever. So just interrupting that thought pattern by doing this backwards counting, which everyone can do, and it's so simple. And she's talked about the fact that there's scientific evidence against the fact that it really works. So do you have any tips like that people can use to sort of interrupt that thought pattern when you're having this negative feeling?
What I do is with my running, for example, is an interesting one. I like today, you know, sometimes I have to come on Instagram and say I'm going to run, because if I won't do it and make it public, then I know I will find the excuse like, oh, it's too windy, it's cold. And so this is how the brain works. And I tell myself, I can run fast, my body is perfect. And I just repeat these words like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And every time I see I run a little bit faster, even if I think, oh my God, I'm slow today. I don't look at my running app, but when I come home, I'm like, oh my God, I did better than I did a few days ago. How come I thought that I was slow? But, you know, I try to repeat myself, I can do this. So, you know, the easiest thing is to coach yourself. It's a self-work, you know. It's like, you know, you're creating a habit. Every time there's something negative coming into your mind, like I cannot do it, or I'm ugly, you switch with like positive way. The same with sit. And we are very hooked into affirmation. I love them, but I
Yeah.
discovered one thing about affirmation. If you instead affirmation, you put your limiting belief and
Yeah.
tune into a positive and start writing this down, you will be faster than off with that than with your affirmation, because what that will do to you is related to you and your emotions. So
Right.
your limiting belief, you tune into a positive, so it's opposite, and then you work with this, and it takes 21 days to really come into some habits and
Right.
give yourself a space. Like sometimes when I run, I need to pause and I need to take a breath or something, and I'm saying to myself, that's fine, I'm still going.
Yeah.
It's not that
I,
I give up.
I like the trick that you use, which is posting it on Instagram, so we all become your accountability.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's no excuse then, because you need to make that, or you create your own group, or we all have these social accounts, and people relate to that pain as well. This the pain and struggle. If you go and put the post, oh my God, today I need some help because I really feel negative, and you will find another person, oh my God, I feel the same way. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, so is it how, it's just saying out loud as well, like, oh, today is not the best day. And
Yeah.
we face so many things. Like I've been half of the day with IT people trying to fix something, and I went to a mirror, I looked at myself, and I said, yes, you cannot be good with tech, however you won't give up, because this is
Yes.
a life, and you carry on. And you
Yeah.
know what, the IT problem's gone. I'm like, unbelievable. I just had to acknowledge that I'm not perfect with IT. I might never be. However,
Yeah.
I will not give up. And then things changed. And I was like, how this happened? I said, so this is how I learn as well with my own experience. I tell myself, like, if I will look into a mirror and say I've got like pimples or something with the beauty stuff, I said,
Yeah.
that's because you didn't have pimples when you were 14, 15. That's the process. So it kind of motivating myself is like, because it's like self-work. And what we do is sometimes we expect, like, okay, I will go and do a little bit of this exercise, a little bit of that, and then we let go, and there's no result. So what we do, we go and blame that person. Oh, this training was like rubbish. No, it's like everything takes time. Growing a baby takes 9 months. It doesn't come overnight. So everything is a life process. We have to commit to something. So getting your morning routine, and I found it the best way as well, is to finish your day with gratitude. Oh dear God, this, and thank your body. If you want to lose weight, you thank your body for carrying all this, like, stress and everything, and doing such amazing work. You will see the change in your body as well. So
Yeah.
it's little, creating little rituals around, like, like our grandmothers had some rituals. Everyone had some rituals back then. So why we cannot have them today?
Yeah.
We so stuck with our phones, and stuck with the
Yeah.
ideas that we have to be this person, because there's so much on Instagram, on TV about, like, oh, this is the new how women should look. But no, you need to look how you've been given. It's this is what makes you you. And I
Yeah.
think that's why I like to say authenticity is so important those days, because this
Mhm.
is what makes people successful.
Yes. Absolutely. Also, to not have any judgment, right? So we tend to judge ourselves very harshly. And so just
But
be,
where is my question is now, where's this judgment coming from?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we say, oh, I think, okay, I've got that person. Okay. So thank you. It's yours, not mine.
Mm-hmm. Because most of the time it's from someone else. It's
Mm-hmm.
someone's opinion that you're concerned with, not
Yeah.
your own. And it can really be crippling. People,
Mm.
I mean, that's what you just get frozen in fear and not want to do anything. Um,
We're so easy to judge.
yeah,
We see people and think, oh, they have amazing life. Where I like to observe, I like to really tune in and feel, and then what I feel when I see people, or when I stand next to people, I'm kind of, what do I experience?
well, in
And
social media, everyone's putting their representative out there. It's not the real them. And so with their representative showing us all the good bits, but not
mm,
you
It
know.
is then challenging, and but
Yeah.
we can do something good. And this is what I'm interested at, helping teenagers. It's those days especially so important to really, because we're focusing on that adulthood, yeah, because I'm 18, 21, so I've got this power to decide. But those children or those teenagers, they have no power to
Mm,
do better for themselves. And if we educate them on, okay, what's your value? It's like not TikTok or some influencer. It's like, how can you value yourself? Then we will save them a lot of suffering. And I think it starts with us adults, you
hmm
know. So
Yeah.
we can change that. Maybe it wasn't given for us so easily, but if we've got that awareness of, okay, this is the method, this is how it works, how we can then take that to a younger generation. That's another thing that I think is really important, to educate the young girls and boys about this, because you can see there's a lot of mental health issues,
Uh,
and loads of suicidal in between young ages, and loads of bullying, and eating disorders, and
yes, yes, absolutely. I think social media has a lot to answer for that. Putting out there this perfect image that really doesn't exist.
mm,
Of course, now in the beauty industry, they are showing more real people. And so you're getting to see stretch marks and cellulite and plus size models and things to try to soften that blow, in a way. But ultimately, it's still going to be how people see themselves. So you can see as much real people out there in advertising, but if you still feel that you need to, be flawless at all times, and that's not realistic, and then you're looking in the mirror and you're seeing things that you didn't see the year before, and you just can't cope with that, then that's a more internal issue that
mm.
needs to be addressed.
I think I would say I'm not the expert in the beauty industry, so you can tell us then, how is that for, because I understand that it must be not that easy to be judged by its cover. Like, when you're in the beauty industry and you hear people saying, "Oh, you're so beautiful," you're so skinny, and that. And I always wonder what's happening inside. If that, do you feel that way inside? Because we can see the outside, but quite often we don't understand, and I've heard and seen women really struggle there, because internally they really have to stood up by those standards that they will tell them that's the only way for you to
Yeah,
carry on.
so that was really the case years ago. Things have really changed, as I say, with all these real people models, where they are using more plus size models,
Mm,
more diversity, more inclusion. So right now, the industry is really different to what it was 10, 20 years ago.
mm,
Uh, there is a more of an acceptance. You can be a model now with tattoos and piercings, and be it's very different to in the past, where you had to be super skinny, and the girls were living on cigarettes and drinking water, and that's it,
mm,
the unhealthy lifestyle. But now I think things are really changing, because people are more aware of this health movement and this wellness movement, where people want to be well, so they're taking care of what they put into their bodies, what they put onto their bodies, and even with regards to mindfulness, what you're putting into your mind is important. So that goes to even thoughts, right? So now we go back,
mm.
putting those negative thoughts into your mind, and having that low self-esteem. Um, those types of people don't look very attractive. And so then, if you're looking for true beauty, in my view, um, it's to just deal with yourself as a whole. So, like
Mm.
mind, body, spirit, you are taking care of your mind, you're eating healthy, you're getting enough rest, you're drinking enough water, and you're just
Yeah.
trying to balance. Like, nobody's perfect, but if you can find some balance, I think then that's key.
My question would be then, what's the definition of perfection, and where is this coming from? Because it's such a thing like perfection does exist, and is by whom is the definition then? Because we really try to go up with that. You know, we try to challenge that and face that perfection, and we think we have to be perfect. And I like to question, where's this coming from? Who put this word like out there, and what's the standards? What's the how you can measure that you're perfect or not? Because perfection for everyone is different.
Yeah.
So it's, I always, you know, the things that I like to always ask that question, where's this coming from? And then sometimes it's, you know, people think that their life is not perfect, so you know they're seeking a different perfection, and there's you know, the relationships are not perfect, but what's the
It's from,
perfection? What's the expectation?
yeah, it's from the industry. So advertisers, people who are in positions of power, who
Mm.
put these on the covers of magazines and retouch it, and we see that thinking that that's what beauty is supposed to be, but
Mm.
ultimately we know um, that that's not beauty, not real beauty, you know. Real beauty is women who do have wrinkles and who, you know, have saggy skin because they've lost the fat pads in their cheeks at a certain age. So we've just been sort of pummeled by the industry about what beauty is, and it's their perception of beauty. It's not realistic. And so,
Yeah.
but I really do think that things are changing now. Uh,
What I notice in beauty, and it worries me a lot, is the easy ways of, you know, working on your beauty. So, you know, injecting yourself everywhere, and you know, removing fat from your stomach to your cheeks, so you have this perfect line, so your nose is this way, not this way, and all this stuff. And I'm always thinking, Mike, I always have this question, okay, so this is today, 10, 15, 20 years. How impactful is the toxin that you put in your skin for your
yeah,
body, because it goes everywhere. So I'm
yes,
like, if someone, it's just like not educating enough, because you know everything's got, you know, every decision's got the effect of it,
yes,
and the same is with the beauty. And I was thinking, like, you know, so many women, we have so many herbs and natural stuff, and I can see that movement going into organic products, you know,
yeah,
and it's something that, you know, I'm interested as a CBD, because it's a plant-based.
yes.
People think that, you know, CBD, you're gonna get high or something, but it
No,
actually's got more good than we think, is it?
yes, yes, no, absolutely. CBD, there's lots of science behind it. It's not just for getting high. In fact, smoking it is the least beneficial to you. You know, you can have it in a tea, you can have it in a tincture, you can have it as drops of oil, and you know, you have the different. There's CBD, and then there's the other side of it, which makes you, I think it's DHT, that makes you high. So um, I'm not an expert on CBD, but I do know that products made from CBD, skincare, as well as the oil, is really, really good for your skin and good for your body. So I have a friend in South Africa who has a CBD company, really good quality
Yeah.
product. And so I could maybe link that below when we're done. But, and I
It's
also,
just, for me, the important is about the using a little bit more of nature than all those substitute that are not so natural as well, because that do harm after some time. That will harm your body and your how you look.
right.
And then this is what makes people feel it is related to a value as well, because why people who will go and do it, you know,
Yeah.
where you know, they need to be perfect. My face has to be perfect, not wrinkles. Looking for those solutions are really, for me, is one of the signs of undervalue, because you're inside, you think I'm not good how I am, you know, I have to correct myself,
Yeah.
which is,
Look, I'm all for somebody wanting to do a few tweaks here and there to make themselves feel better, just like you would, you know, cut out meat or cut out fish. And there's so many documentaries at the moment that if you watch them all, you literally just want to drink reverse osmosis water and nothing else,
yeah,
because every single thing seems to be an issue, whether it's
yeah,
seafood. You don't want to ever have a piece of grilled fish, but then that was a healthy diet before. And now
yeah,
you want organic food, but then you realize that, is it really organic? I didn't grow it myself. I don't know what they put in the soil. I don't know if they've farmed it. What did they spray on this stuff? Is it really healthy? So I mean, there's levels to this, right? So you could get, whenever I'm having these conversations, I always think of Michael Jackson, when he put like little sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber, allegedly, and putting little plasters at the tips of his fingers. And I always wondered, like, was that so that germs don't get under the nails? Like, the more you think about it, it could really drive you nuts, because you're going to live on a farm and raise your own meat if you're going to eat meat, or eat fruit and veg only. It's really like overwhelming, because you just don't know, And also in the beauty industry, when we talk about natural and organic, these aren't just words that you can use as the name of the product. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's an organic or a natural product. And so that's the scary thing, that there's no regulation on that, right? And we're talking about all the toxins. Does something have parabens in it? Okay, now more people are aware that parabens are bad. But there was, in recent years, where nobody knew what a paraben was. But I mean, just with COVID now, we all know about so many things that we didn't know before. I mean, I didn't know what an immunologist was, a virologist, and a whatever.
I think we're still evolving with that knowledge. And I think for the importance of the topic as well is to really knowing your value. So then when there's so many information and tools to use with beauty, with health and stuff, to know which one are best for you out of your inner needs, not from the outside needs. So when you decide something, you influence because you feel that this for you is good for you, not because you pressure to be a certain way and be
absolutely. So we won't touch on the subject of choice about certain things, because we don't want our video to be taken down before we've had a chance.
I mean, we don't want to be another Joe.
No.
I mean,
get started.
What I could recommend to people is like to trust themselves, really, like fully work on yourself internally, inside. When you work with this, you accept your beauty from outside. You accept your beauty, whatever you might think about yourself was before. You are beautiful, but the beauty inside is so crucial those days, because the impact of all of it, what's happening out there, it's becoming frightening, especially for young girls. And even in business, I see it. I see so many women coming, and they just searching for something, or they don't know where to go or what to do. And I'm like, but it is in you. You have it. Like, I can see it. I can feel it. I said, oh, don't. So it became for me something really important,
What do you think is the main reason why women don't know their value?
Oh, I think, like I said, it goes far back. So it's like, imagine you've got that tail behind you, and they got weights on it. So what do? You can turn, but you don't have to go back there. And you're just doing some process exercises and stuff. So you're letting go of that. So when you don't have that weight behind you, then you have more space to turn then. Because we majority of the time, we don't want to turn and look at those. We're not turning on any side, because there's always someone, there's a mom who's got expectation, there's a dad, there's a sister, brother, boss, partner. There's always someone at you, like expecting you to be this way and that way. So wherever you move, you're like in that glass cage. You want to make a step, oh my God, another person in my way. But if you see it that from that cage, but if you work with this inner power, you have the power to just like pull that cage. And those people, and everything what's around you, it just doesn't matter anymore, because they're gonna be in that place whatsoever. The importance is for you to move on, to make that step, and not be distracted by the chaos on the right or left or behind you. Because
Mm-hmm.
you know, we cannot change other people, but we can change ourselves. We can, this is the main thing in relationship, but that's another subject. When we look blame, this is the blame politics, or he's been this, she's been this. And I always say to people, you work separate, and when you really work on your stuff, on yourself, then come and meet each other and
Yeah.
see if that problem is there. Because sometimes we're mirroring something, you know, and it's like a ping pong. So it's the same, like you know, in everywhere in your life. You know, you look at someone, like your boss, for example, and you think, oh, he's this and that and that. But if you know, oh my god, I'm really good at that skill, and you have that, you know, the felt sense and the power of like, I can really do this. No matter what the boss or manager or supervisor, whoever is out there will tell you, you will still have that energy when you're like, no, I can do it better, I can do this.
Right.
And I think this is what makes people really successful, that
Mm.
they really don't get impacted by others people opinions, and that takes us back to our values. So this is
Yeah.
where it all starts. You know yourself, you know your value, you won't let anyone to tell you different.
Does emotional intelligence play a part in that, in your
I
value?
I did study emotional intelligence with the psychometric assessment. So basically, that psychometric test, you give people assessment and was telling you basically what your emotional intelligence was. And I had a struggle with that because I did not believe that we can. I said that's the one. Someone said to me, "You will never." The test would say you will never impact people, and I was like, "This is not true," because my role as a coach is not to impact people. So this is why in my brain and on that assessment is showing me I'm not impactful enough. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I don't have that value. And for people getting any assessment in any part of their life, it brings them down because this is no understanding. So emotional intelligence tested by assessment, I will say, isn't that true? Because there's always, you can change that. You know, that's the information saying something about you, but it's not 100% that this is how it is and this is how it's gonna be. And
Yeah.
I always question that. So for me, the importance with emotional intelligence got like there's a lot of book of that David Goleman, I think his name is Goleman. And so he written a lot of books about, and he focused more on the you know, the brain structures and all the little things in our brain. And everyone talks about this amygdala like they are neuroscience experts, and I love this when people kind of
Yeah.
say this. But it's not only this little thing in our brain. There's so much to it. So I would say emotional intelligence starts with you again, because the first
Yeah.
thing, even there, this is self-awareness, you know. But we still work from a brain. But what's the self-awareness? For me, the self-awareness is with the positive stuff, you know. We've been put so much of a negativity about like, oh, you this, you that. No, I want people to know how good they are. I want them to know that they are, you know, valuable. They have
Mhm.
skills. You know, we all come in here with some set of them. You know, my neighbor doesn't have it. You know, my husband doesn't have it. It makes me unique. And
Right.
somewhere in the life we're losing that sense of that unique skills, you know. you
Hmm.
you you have so many artists, they are not the same artists, they cannot copy the same art. So that's a good example, because they are different, you know. They stay artists, but they art makes them unique. And the same with business. You can have, there's so many coaches out there those days, but every coach got different gift, I would say, you know. They work with on the different things with people, and this is what we are here for, you know, to explore ourselves. So our life is a journey from, and it's bumpy, but it's a still journey. And you have the power to decide where you want to take that journey. And do you want to focus on negative things, or you want to focus on positive things? Because positive is still there. No one said that you have to be in it. This is the thing. No one, I'm not saying to people, be in therapy for 3 years and just explore the negative stuff. There are ways to work with a positive. Because if you
Right.
put someone, this is like you put yourself in a situation, if you're not resource, yeah. So if you don't have your power, whoever put you in a situation, you will fail, because you
Mm.
don't have that inner energy, any energy to carry on. So what we've been never doing is like resourcing people, giving that power first, and then ask them, okay, that if that difficult is still difficult to you, and you might hear, no, it's not anymore. And this is the beauty of that focus on the positive stuff.
I'm
Twist
curious.
it.
I'm curious to know, in terms of, I know that you studied ancestral trauma.
Yeah.
And is there a connection between genetic and epigenetic factors that make you less prone to valuing yourself, you know?
There's like one of this is a story behind the story, for example, you know, it's like your grandmother, for example, there's a grandmother, yeah, and she had like 7 children. She was working really hard. The husband will come, food on the table, expectation if the kids are done, never been out, nothing. So do you think that this woman was valued? No.
No.
And then her daughter is seeing this,
know better, right?
yeah.
So,
and then the daughter repeats the same thing because she didn't know better. So what she does to her daughter, she already puts in her the same, and it carries on. So it's really interesting. But there are generation back of women who they were really valued because they had different life. So we can take that power from that woman from 6th, 7th generation going back, and bring that power within you. Is in your genetics. So instead to focusing, you know, acknowledging that the grandmother that had a hard life, however, she had a power, because the power is you here and now. So you got that life. So she had enough of energy to carry on with all these difficulties so we can be here today. So in order to honor those people that, you know, didn't have better than us, we do something better with our life because we still got that gift. So life is a one gift, you know, the energy of survival we've got a very good gift there. You know, women and men have so many good skills that we've forgotten about them. But when you remind them about, like, oh, your grandmother was good with what? With herbs, for example, you know, because, and you're like, oh, I really like herbs. I said, there you go. I always wanted to be a herbalist. And I said, wow, so you see, it been in your genetics. So why you don't want to do it? You know, because doesn't bring money. But do you know that?
yeah.
If you didn't, you're not trying, you will not find out. So this is where makes you stuck, because your idea is, you know, it won't do something for me. Till you won't try it, you won't know.
Yeah. And we've been sort of, because we've been brainwashed into thinking that we need to have certain types of jobs to be successful. And if you don't do these certain things, then we're not going to be successful. If you don't have a degree, I know I was always very conscious of, you know, having a very long beauty and fashion background, but no degree, no business background. And only when I started to do things and open myself up to, I did a program with Stanford University, and I thought, wow, here I am without a degree in anything, but I'm keeping up with people in this class and I'm really enjoying it. So I do have a brain. Not that I thought that I wasn't intelligent, but I didn't have the paperwork to show that I've used my brain. And so these also can be the things that hold you back, right? You've never put there.
Yeah, I can give you I have similar example on my own as well. You know, when I came, English is my second language. I had always jobs because my master was in hotels and catering. I did work there because it's more physical work, not. And one day someone offered me GM job, and I was like, "How come this happening?" I said, "No, I cannot do it. I cannot write emails." And so I would not write a sentence. Year after, I did MSCs in psychology here in London, in UK, and the year before I couldn't write, and I was like, everything is possible. So if someone tell me, that's what I'm saying. There's no impossible. It's in our head, you know. We program ourselves. Well, I cannot do it, and I'm sitting today and thinking, oh my God, I wasted 6 years of my life thinking I cannot write. And I've been writing 10,000 words of my dissertation. I don't know how I've done it, but I've done it because I want it. So we have that inner power of like, and when you're doing it, it's not difficult. So it's with everything, you know, we have so many skills inside that, you know, we've been thinking, my teachers told me, and this is what happens. My teacher told me, you are not good with language, and you
Yeah.
will have 6 kids and you will be cooking.
Horrible teachers. That is,
Yeah, you know, but this, and I was 18, and that stayed with me. She said, oh, because I was more into a fun and not taking things seriously, doesn't mean that I don't have the ability to do something, you
right.
know. And it's and the marks, you know, the school marks us all the time, you know, your knowledge. But you know,
Yes.
I've seen kids like my friends now with really high marks, but they stuck, they didn't go, they didn't travel. Their life is like, because they are so afraid, because
But,
the because the marks are gone, you know.
yes.
So there's no like, oh, where I should be, no one is marking me, so I don't know if my performance was good or not.
Yeah.
So you know, this topic is just like, we could go on and on and on and on, but honestly we have.
Sorry to cut you. There is a difference between knowledge and wisdom,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So I just wanted to
yeah.
add, you could go and get all the degrees you want and whatever, that's knowledge. But if you're not using it wisely,
You know
what's
what? One thing about knowledge and books and stuff like that, and I was about to go and do a PhD. I thought, oh, I will go and do a PhD. Will people like me more? Will they think I'm smart? I can help them?
yeah,
And I was like really considering that stuff, and then I get slapped in the face from my inner side saying, you don't be silly, you have inner wisdom, help people with your inner wisdom, your experience is what people really need. And we
right.
just hook up on books and others people opinions, and we think, okay, this is gonna help us. No, you've got an insight, you want to take that from in, you know, you've been on this planet for such a long time. What happened? You know, tell me, I want to know more. You know, I want
Yeah,
to know what you experienced, because that experience is more valuable than any written books. And to be honest, those books those days, they're not
yeah,
written by the authors. It's just someone else that doing it because it's a posh to have a book those days, you know. So I'm like, yeah, the knowledge is like really important thing about wisdom, like you said.
yeah. So just before we end, I wanted to just touch on, you have a program of 5 steps to valuing yourself, or 5 steps
I
to
mean,
how to describe it.
I do have a coaching program called Unstoppable, and it's 7 steps. Five.
Okay.
I put the 5 reasons why you are stuck and how to fix it fast. That's the guide,
Okay.
introduction, and the 7 steps are based on the ancestral systemic work that I've done, the careers coaching, tools from the psychobiology training, my spiritual training, as well as a soul transformation practitioner. So I take it all and I tested on myself, I tested on other people, and I was like, okay, this is working. And there's no rocket science behind this. It's really simple, because it comes from this place, you know, place of wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that because it's so authentic, you know.
Oh,
Don't have to,
authenticity was really important for me for many years. And I can tell you, it wasn't an easy way, because I always question, like, why am I doing all those trainings? Will I ever finish? And, you
yes.
know, and every time I finish training, there's another coming up. And I'm like, oh, but there's a one sentence of information that I can experience and then help someone else. So that's my role in here, you know,
Mm,
experience, share, so other people can explore their authenticity, their inner value, their inner potential, because we have so much potential. If you discover your inner, then you know around you you will notice all those little messages that are coming your way.
yes. Absolutely. Well, it's been absolutely amazing talking to you today. Thank you so much for all your
Likewise.
insights. I know my eyes are wide open now to the ideas about how to just tap into my value and to just value myself more. So my key takeaway is I'm going to write a list of all the things that I'm really good at. And
Exactly.
I think conversely, a list that maybe I'm not so great at. So hopefully the list of all the good things is more, and I'll start building on that. So that will increase my self-worth and, you know, how I see myself and how I,
Write down the another exercise is called this self-limiting beliefs. So
yes,
write the one that, you know, you believe that this is, I believe that, or this is not gonna happen, or this. And then the other part you can do, okay, find different self-limiting beliefs. What's my mother's self-limiting belief? Okay, what's my father's self-limiting belief? Put them together, change them to a positive. This is the empowerment movement, and you write down for 21 days. And you know, even if you remember your grandmother saying, "Oh, this weather's always bad," you can tell to yourself, you know, every day the sun is shining for me, no matter what. Do I
Yeah.
have clouds on or not? I can experience the sun from above. And
Yeah.
that's kind of giving you that empowerment that impossible doesn't exist, because there is a sun behind the clouds.
Yes. Usually in our, like in my family, I remember things like money doesn't grow on trees.
Oh,
And
tell me about it.
so when you have these limiting beliefs around money, you really learn where it comes from. And it's so deep rooted in that lack, you know, that feeling of lack. And I'm so different to my family, where I've never really taken that on. I've always said, I'm rich. Like, no one, I'm really happy and I'm rich in my way. So I'm not taking on board this money doesn't grow on trees thing. I'm like, yes, it does. It's made out of paper.
Yeah, I mean, we've been one of my colleagues here, and he's saying that the women are inherently powerful. Thank you for that. Yes, we I mean, you know, the money subject is really interesting, and that's, you know, another level of a conversation. But
We'll
like,
do it.
I like what you said, that your mindset about I'm rich, because richness is abundance. Abundance is everything, you know. So I can be, yeah, if you acknowledge that, it's a positive thing about yourself already. Rich, I'm rich. I'm rich in wisdom, I'm rich in beauty, rich in good energy, you know. So we can explore that.
Yes, yes, amazing. Well, if anybody's looking for you, they can find you at Coach Aneta. And where else can we find you?
I'm on the LinkedIn. There's only one Aneta Baghdad on LinkedIn. So if you type me in the Google, you will find find me on Instagram. I'm coaching with Aneta. It's same on Facebook, LinkedIn. So I'm there. I think, you know, that we always find the way to people that we're supposed to find. And
Yeah.
and you know, I always say that when the student is ready, the teachers appear. So that's one of the things that
I love. Well,
no,
thank you.
no pressure for in life. That's the knowing your value, you know, that
Yeah.
you know,
They'll,
you don't have to be pressured to doing something.
yes, yes, amazing. Well, I've enjoyed myself thoroughly.
Me too.
And we will do this again. We'll pick a
Yeah.
topic. We will be back. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. Really appreciate your support. And yeah, this is our first live. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah,
And
energy is really good.
well, yeah.
Thank you I want to thank you as well, because you initiated this. So well done for you for the bravery. And the intention to share that wisdom with everyone else. And yeah, I hope that, you know, we can do more of those, so we can have those fruitful conversations and sharing the experience and helping others.
Yes, absolutely. Well, have a wonderful evening. Thank you, guys. And to bid you farewell. Good night.
Good night.